now have but one choice. We must face the long dark of Moria. Be on your guard.
Hello and welcome back to Lord of the Collections. I'm your host, Tyler Macklem, and this is my co-host,
Hello, everyone.
Valkris.
Valkyrst or Raphael.
And we're joined today with our guest, Daniel Cole. And we are here to talk about San Diego Comic-Con 2025 and the Weta reveals from this year's show. So, but I think let's start with why everyone is here. Let's start with the Master Collection.
Cool.
Okay. So what did you guys think of the Master Collection? And this is such a big, kind of broad piece that I thought we could kind of break it down into some different categories. So, I mean, it's Lord of the Rings. So obviously we do love it, right? That's the baseline. That of course it's Lord of the Rings. Of course we like it. It's
Mhm.
just in the nitty-gritty and the fine hairs that we're talking about for context here. So I thought we would break it down into details. What do we think of the details, the likenesses, that kind, and then the composition of it, like the artistic choices made, the settings, and then overall. So three different kind of categories, if you will. What did you like? I personally think that detail-wise, the details look great. I don't really have any complaints detail-wise on it. I think the likenesses on all the characters look great, I think. I mean, I saw some people saying they thought Pippin looked a little off. Um, I personally don't see that, but
Yeah, I remember reading that people had those comments, and so I missed the actual reveal. I watched it virtually with everyone else, but then as soon as I got on the floor, I went over there and just as soon as you see this thing, it just kind of knocks you on your butt. Like one, it's just enormous. It's just like half the size of a refrigerator,
mm,
and two, it's just like your eye is instantly caught. Like no single character just feels like shorthanded. Like each character feels like it's lovingly represented, and the likenesses. Like if you really give your time to look at each one of them, like the likenesses really are great, and they really capture the essence of each of these characters. Even I'm showing my girlfriend it, and she's not a Lord of the Rings fan, but even her, she could point out the personality of each character, and she was kind of mesmerized by the choices, that the emotional choices they almost went with in terms of
mm.
representing the faces on them.
As far as I think Aragorn's likeness is pretty good. He's been notoriously difficult for Weta to capture, and I think this is the best possible, like the best Vigo. I think perhaps it's tough because we haven't have the production version of this yet, but I think it's the best looking Aragorn what is made. Now, I mean, that's obviously subjective, and some guys who own the Monhead version,
Yeah,
Yeah.
and might disagree with me, but from what the pictures I've seen, I'm just going off pictures like everyone else, and what people saw at San Diego, but it looks like the best Vigo I think what has ever done.
yeah, I would agree with that. Like it's pretty startling, and he's kind of really at the bottom there, just like given really a nice piece of real estate there, and yeah, yeah, I don't know. You look at that thing from different angles because sometimes you'll see a statue and it's like looks like him from the front, but then you go to the side, it's not quite got his likeness. But this one, especially with the rotating table they had on the floor, it's just yeah, they really did capture him from all angles. I don't know how they pulled it off because like you said, he's been quite tricky on in some of these statues with Weta and other companies to really get him quite right.
Mhm.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, for my part, I guess they're just until they post like more pictures. There have been some put online that were taken there on the floor, and people that have kind of enhanced these to give us a bit of a closer look. But I'm really waiting to see um, like when Weta actually expands this listing on their website to include. I'm
Yeah,
sure there's
yeah.
going to be like a picture for each one of the characters, focusing on them to actually see them better.
Hmm.
But I mean, at first blush, I don't really see um, any issue, to be honest. I know, yeah, there's been a lot of comments centering on Pippin. I think part of the problem with Pippin, though, is that he's been so just basically both him and Mary have been so ignored by Weta for so many years that they're really, other than comparing it to the face of the actual actor uh, with stills of the movie, when you're talking about statue to statue comparison, other than Treebeard, like if you have Treebeard and you can look at the face on that one, which is quite amazing, actually. They really captured both him and Dominic's face like really, really well.
Hmm.
So I think it tends maybe to make people think that, oh, it doesn't quite look like, I mean, that there's not enough of a frame of reference with other statues. Because I mean, the statue is never going to be 100% mimicking the actual actor.
Right.
So to be honest, it doesn't bother me. He looks better in some angles than others for sure, but I think that's always the case with most of these faces. With
Hmm.
Aragorn, I think he is spot on. I do have the Eminem version. To me, that's the best version. I think this one is equal to it. Maybe they went back to that statue
Right.
and just kind of copied whatever they scanned there and used it, because the classic series one is, there's something odd about it that doesn't quite match Viggo Mortensen's face. Same with the new King Elisar, but
Right.
this one for sure for me works.
Yeah.
Um, Legolas, I mean, he looks pretty good. Like he, again, very, him and Gimli are practically identical to the Amanen version, so no complaints there. Gandalf, there hasn't been really been a clear shot of him either. Some people have said that something looks off about him. I don't see it. Elijah again has been a notorious one to capture in the past correctly. Not seeing really too much of an issue with Frodo. Uh, Sam is not as easy to see, and I'm kind of disappointed. There's no clear way to see Boromir's face, and I think to me, out of all the characters, that's probably the one that I would be most disappointed with. Again, I know we'll get into the poses and what they signify and whatnot a bit later, but um, like looking at the angle that you've got up right now on the screen, it's like you kind of have to like lower, like depending on how high you're displaying this statue, maybe
Hmm.
it'll be easier to see, but you're just not seeing the character's face clearly. And
Yeah.
to me, I just find that a bit disappointing. Like I like to see, like, turn the statue slowly and see their faces as you go,
Hmm.
and you can't really see Boromir because he's looking down. Uh, and then there's been a lot of comments about Gollum. The nose is just odd. I'm not sure what's going on there. I've seen a different pictures and different angles, and there's definitely, he's got this beaky nose, which is not at all what we see on screen in the
Right.
movie. So I'm hoping they change that, or if there's some weird optical illusion going on, but it
So,
doesn't look like him.
so
Yeah.
Daniel, you were at San Diego Comic Con and you saw this in
Yeah.
person. Did you have a chance to, did anything look odd about Gollum's nose that you saw or?
Yeah, it's funny you're zeroing in, you guys are zeroing in on a lot of the things. Again, like this piece, I guess we'll talk about overall, but yeah, Gollum, I would agree. Like the nose and something about the nose and the ears was throwing me off a little bit with him. Like Val said, I do hope that they maybe, if there is an opportunity to do some tweaks, like I feel like it just isn't capturing Gollum, and they've sculpted him so many times now that it did surprise me that it wasn't, there was a little something off there.
Mm.
Um, and then to that point, again, maybe just because the way it was displayed on the convention, I had a hard time seeing Gandalf and Frodo because they're so far up there. But I don't know. There was something about Gandalf that was throwing me off a little bit. And again, I don't know if that was just the way that I was just seeing him because again, this thing was towering over everybody.
Hmm.
Um, and so yeah, that just in terms of like statues they've done in the past, it just surprised me that there's just a subtle thing. I couldn't put my finger on what was different, but Pippin to counter that, like everyone was complaining or like bringing up Pippin, but to me, when I was looking at him, I was like, I didn't see I absolutely saw the actor, the character, and there was nothing throwing me off there at all. I think Gandalf and in terms of likeness, Gandalf and Gollum were the only ones where I was a little just needed a perhaps a better look without the convention lights kind of maybe bleeding them out or something. I don't know.
Right.
Mhm.
And details too, I think, like once again, nobody, I've said it I don't know how many times, but nobody does rock better than Weta. And this is another example of just the rock work, the environment work on this looks fantastic. It's cool to see, there's little bits here and there, like there's some orc graffiti, you know, it looks like there's a bucket down there, which is obviously a hint to the bucket Pippin knocks over. And it looks like there's just the debris and that little kind of tablet with the runes on it. I think is pretty cool. It's a nice little
Mhm.
nod, Easter egg, which I think is fun. Um, I just think, yeah, the details, like they said, there was mithril veins in the rock. I think those are something that, as a collector, when you look at the statue, you might find something new for the first year or two that you have that thing, and that
Yeah.
you'll really be able to appreciate. So I think Weta did a fantastic job on the details. Um,
Um,
I
yeah, I think
know,
I just oh sorry. I was just gonna say just because you're mentioning the environment and stuff, one really cool thing that isn't in these photos is there's like a little pool of water that they've kind of got at the base there with little bones and
Mm.
things in there. And I'm sure when there's more photos revealed, people are going to really enjoy kind of scoping out all those, again, more details in the environment that they've sculpted in there. The resin that they use for the water reminds me of what they did for the Masters collection of Gollum. Like it's
mhm.
really, really, really cool. Sorry to interrupt.
No, that's I know it was pointed out that Aragorn has his Lorien dagger, and maybe you can just kind of see it there. But Weta has clarified that that won't be in the production version of, so um, that's nothing to fret over. You know, um, I know some people are sticklers for those kind of accuracy from and fair enough.
Right.
With So, what would you guys out of 10? What would you guys give this for detail?
Val, go first.
Um, on just what we have right now, without having
Well,
been there
yeah,
in person, and knowing also that, I mean, these are photos of their uh, what would you call these? The paint master or the artist
yeah,
proof? I'm not sure what
yeah.
the
Probably
terminology is for
Paint
the.
Master. This is what is
Yeah,
best foot forward for the piece, though. Like,
right. But it's also what they would call a prototype, so that there can still be improvements made, like removing the detail of the dagger kind of thing. So there could be things that they tweak here and there. Hopefully, they do some plastic surgery on Gollum. He gets a new nose job, but uh, I'd say like at first glance, I'd give it a 9.
right,
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
if they make those couple of little small changes, this would easily be a 10. Like I don't, for me, this can only improve being seen in person rather than go the other way. So yeah, it looks that awesome to me. So
right.
I would agree the same 9 out of 10. And it's funny you mentioned a lot of the things that I kind of got distracted with, just staring at on the floor, which little strings of mithril in the rock, and it is just amazing to see how they do their environments and their rock versus other companies. I won't mention them, but like Weta is in a league of its own where like there's other companies that'll have cool statues, but then the base and the environment is just kind of half not
Yeah.
quite as far along or as wonderful as what they've managed to accomplish. It's yeah, it's really immaculate.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So what were you were a 9, Daniel?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
put me in a
I think I'd be on a 9 as well. Um, I love the details on it, and like some other companies that I won't mention, they didn't overdo it. The details are there. It's cool, like, oh, there's the bucket, but it's not overdone, which I think is nice. The characters, the rock work and the environment are there to support the characters. It doesn't get in the way I shouldn't say because like in this picture you can't even see Gimli, but it doesn't detract from the character. I'm not distracted by the rock work, right? It
right.
adds to it. It doesn't distract from it, which I think they did a great job with that. I would also give it a 9, just um
Oh yeah, for sure.
and
Like
that's
I mean,
being
the
real
characters.
picky, I think, too.
Yeah,
You know.
the
I
characters
think
should always
the
be the focus of the piece. Like the environment has to be a star on its own,
Hmm.
but not only in like it's kind of like a supporting. Um, what do you call it? Like a supporting actor, really. It's
Yeah.
right.
second billing to the. I don't like it when the statue itself or the environment are just competing for attention with what the focus should be. And I think they did a wonderful job here of uh, utilizing the terrain
Hmm.
to
Right.
position the characters in a way that it only makes them stick out more rather than be distracted by what they're on.
Yeah.
Right. Guides
So,
your eye to the right places.
Yeah.
yeah.
So let's talk now on kind of the artistic choices made, the composition of the piece, the characters, the setting,
Hmm.
poses. There's some poses on this and artistic choices I really like. I love Legolas's pose. Like if you were to have if I were to have one Legolas in my collection, I'd want him in that pose. I just think that's he's got his elf eyes. He's just like a hawk, and it's not overdone. He's not riding a shield down a wall. It's not over, it's very simple, but it just works really well for the character. I think I love Legolas's pose.
Hmm.
I love Gandalf's pose, like he's holding the staff up, like he's lighting the way, he's leading, he's the leader of the fellowship, and he's also giving guidance to Frodo. If I could, I would buy Frodo and Gandalf just separate. Like I wish they were available just separate on their own base. Same with Legolas. I just think those are probably my two favorite poses. Um,
Well, well, maybe you can visit Val and one day and just kind of lift those when
yeah,
he's
he
not
might
looking.
not notice, if just
Yeah. No,
if
there's
I go
something missing here.
if I go
There's
to the
enough people on there.
if I go to the Weta cave.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly. There you go.
I don't mind like Strider's or Aragorn's. It's like I don't know. I think the likeness is great. The pose, it's just I don't know. Like it works for the piece. It doesn't do anything for me. Just the pose, I guess. It looks fine. It works for the statue, right?
Mhm.
Um, I do like the Boromir lifting up or helping Sam. That seems to be within his character. He had a soft spot for the hobbits. Um, in the movie we actually see it's Mary who leans out over that ledge, and Pippin kind of holds him back, and they've kind of reversed the roles this time. And Pippin, as we know, is a really inquisitive hobbit.
Um,
Gimli, I mean, it's in the sense of the piece, like the whole fellowship is moving up the staircase. It just seems kind of odd that he's just stopped and standing there, like when Boromir lifts up Sam from that ledge, where's Sam gonna go? Because Gimli's standing in the way. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense in the
Yeah.
terms of the diorama. It works for like I get what they're doing with the character. He's contemplating his people, but it just kind of seems odd. But I guess I don't dislike it or like it really. I mean, Gimli looks great, but the artistic choice to just have him standing there like that seems a little odd to me. But that's enough of me. What did you guys think of just some of the artistic choices made?
What do you think, Val?
Okay. Oh, okay. Um, I'm in agreement with you. I think for me the highlighter is definitely at the top, like Legolas and Frodo and Gandalf for sure. Um, uh, yeah, no complaints there. I think they're perfect in the pose and the characteristics of their personalities and what they say about that moment and what they're communicating in that scene. Like that's awesome. Same with um, Mary and Pippin. It really showcases the friendship and care that they have for one another. Oh, Mary's like, about the hey Pip, I know you like to if you see a dark well or something shining off in the darkness, you're gonna want to look at it a little more closely, but don't get too close to the ledge. Don't want to lose you here, kind of. So that concern and friendship is really evident, as well as the inquisitiveness of Pippin is really well showcased. Um, Aragorn, I mean, he's in a tough position. Like he's at the bottom, so it's like he's really just hasn't got much to do there to go up the stairs. But I think for him, it's like you want to in this situation like this. I mean, being someone that plays Dungeons and Dragons and understanding how the party of adventurers works, and they're going through the dangerous dungeon. Like you want your strongest characters at the front and at the back. And he's bringing up the rear. He's providing the light. He's got that look on his face, like he's watchful. He's not. You can tell he's not relaxed at all. Like he probably hears scrabbling in the dark, and guess what? If you just turn around, you'll see Gollum creeping up there. So it's like he's watchful and alert and making sure that he's protecting the rear. So for me, it works. I think it's perfect. Um, yeah, Sam and Boromir kind of tells its own little story. Again, I'm just slightly disappointed with the Boromir pose. I don't know if it's so much because he's just punched. I mean, like visually, in terms of the costuming and the weapons and the gear, for me, Boromir's always been the most impressive out of the entire Fellowship. Um, and it's a shame that he's just so compacted in that pose right there. But I mean, we do have the classic series piece as a consolation coming, so that kind of takes the sting off the way the Boromir is represented there. Yeah, I agree with Gimli. Like he actually, when Weta just released the silhouette, like they put the four pieces of the puzzle together, it totally looked like uh, he was just standing there, kind of like yeah. The silhouette is pretty much from the angle that you're showing right now, and it gave the impression that he's watchful, like he's looking out over the edge, maybe looking out at something, or he's just standing there but on guard kind of thing. And now we know that he's actually just picked up the helm of one of his people and is contemplating like their fate, um, which for me would sort of work better as maybe a classic series pose where that moment is just contained on its own.
Mhm.
Here, they could have gone like maybe just put him up a little further on the stairs and maybe put him a little motion, like 1 foot on a stair or something like that. Maybe still kind of doing the same thing, but yeah, it just looks like Boromir's going to turn at any second and bump into him and throw him off the side. So
Yeah.
um, yeah, but these are just really very minor nitpicks. to be honest.
Yeah, I
So
think yeah, I think with Gimli, like maybe if they'd had him going up looking at some mithril on the wall or something, like maybe that would have felt a little bit more natural. I love the pose. I mean, I stared at Gimli for quite a while. Like you're saying, like it is a gorgeous moment they've captured there. Like perhaps a classic series would have been more appropriate, but yeah, I mean, hopefully it doesn't detract from anyone who is going to get this incredible piece. I think like the one, as you guys have singled out already, the one area that I was really disappointed was Boromir. And I don't know if it's just because of the way things are spaced out with the stairs that I just wish that they'd given him a little bit more headroom there where he could stand up or just be a little
mhm,
more upright. Because I even there, I just he just felt a little too unnaturally hunched for me.
yeah,
Like yeah, just I mean the details, everything obviously top notch, but the pose just feels a little unnatural and not as stoic as we're used to seeing this guy.
yeah. Almost
I
looks like
just
he's sitting down, like looking at it
yeah,
like right now. Yeah.
and when
So
you look at it up close, like the way his legs are positioned and stuff, it's yeah, I'm not 100% sold on him. The rest of the characters, I think are quite good, but yeah, Boromir, I don't know ultimately how they landed on that. Yeah, I think that's my only weakness. But yeah, as you guys have already pointed out, I would agree with how incredible all the other ones were. You know, I was particularly drawn to Strider and Aragorn like that. Just
mhm,
the watchful guy, kind of like you're saying, kind of making sure everyone's safe from any threats behind them.
Right. And so I guess the next kind of avenue we could talk about is so whenever a company like Weta produces collectibles like this, they can choose to have the characters kind of in a they can try and replicate a moment from the film, right? Or a moment inspired by the film, right? Like they don't have to get it exact, right? But to have a moment where or a collectible that's kind of inspired by a moment in the film. Or you can
mhm,
kind of do the other route, which is what they've gone with here, and just kind of create their own thing, right? And just have the characters in this setting environment environment they've made up on their own. And I think sometimes that works really well. The it allows them to create or put the character in a pose and an environment where we didn't get to see them in the movie, but it's still just a fantastic representation of the character. But I know myself, I prefer, I think, moments from the film to be replicated in statue form. Um, Especially in, I think, the Master Collection. I find it interesting that, Weta chose to do the whole fellowship on a staircase in Moria. Well, we have a whole scene of the fellowship on a staircase in Moria. Like as the Balrog's trying to bust through that door and the pillar starts wobbling and the goblins start or the orcs start shooting arrows at like we have a whole scene from the film of the fellowship on a set of stairs, and but Weta said, nope, we don't want to use those stairs. We're going to create our own. you know so I do find the choice interesting. It's like, well, what was wrong with the stairs and stuff from the film? That would have worked too, I think. But um that's not that's not a pro or con to this piece. Like I'm not saying, oh, they should have done that. I just find it interesting that they chose to just
mhm,
kind of fabricate their own environment instead of using stairs from the film, right? So,
yeah.
I think it just comes down to real estate. Like you just think of like because in those stairs, even to get them all lined up straight like that would be still a pretty massive staircase. So it's like I feel like they had to do at six scale like a spiral arrangement just to kind of keep the footprint kind of on the lower end.
right.
Mhm,
I mean, at some point in that staircase, it does do a right angle turned, and they could have done. I'm just picturing, they could have done something like that where you could have had some of the fellowship there and some of it here, but that's what ifs now. So, um,
Yeah.
the other aspect, and I think Val, you've talked about this on the forum, is you can't see every character in this on this piece because it is a 360-degree statue, or
Yeah.
every statue is 360 degrees, but you have to be spinning or walking around this thing to see it, all of it,
Yeah.
Otherwise it just doesn't work.
Yeah. I mean, for me, my thoughts. I thought that the whole like scene from a movie versus a moment that's just conceptualized and then brought to life in statue form, but not something that we actually saw. Uh, be honest, I thought it was going to bother me a lot more than it did. There had been some once it was pretty much confirmed, like Josh on the forum, uh, Flame of Wooden confirmed that, kind of prepare yourselves, guys. It's not a scene from the movie. Um, because then you start to imagine, like, what are they going to come up with? Like, how far off from what I've already been, you know, trying to imagine in my mind for the years that I've wanted this piece, like how far they're going to deviate from that. So you kind of start to dig your heels in to not liking this before you even see it, which is kind of like what I was going through, telling myself, like, I'm not going to like this. I'm not going to like this because they're inventing something. And then they showed it, and I'm like, oh, because it's what you got to realize is that we spend a lot of time with these guys over the course of the movie, especially if you're watching the extended edition. That's almost 4 hours of footage with these characters, but we don't get to spend every single moment of their journey with them. There's a lot of things that we don't see. And I'm not talking about, does the Fellowship ever go to the bathroom? Sure, they do. Is Weta going to make a statue of that? Nope. But yeah, they spent that journey through Moria took days. Uh,
3 days.
and it's just not possible to show every moment of that on film. So um, this fits. It's a moment between moments that we see on film, and in that respect, I think it works wonderfully. I don't really all of those problems that I had created in my own head about that are basically dissipated. Would I have preferred something that we actually did see? Because in my mind, I'd always envisioned either them crossing the bridge as they leave Rivendell or that moment in the mountains when they come over that hill with the rock. Those were always the two iconic moments that I thought if they're ever going to do a fellowship, like they did that little mini many years ago,
Hmm.
this would be it. Or maybe them all standing in front of the the west gate of Moria would have been another way to do it. Um, so you kind of build up your expectations for that, and then it doesn't happen. And but I get the reasons. Like a horizontal statue of the Fellowship would have been massive. And at the point that most of us are in their collections, there simply isn't the space for something like that. So this kind of solves that problem rather neatly. But as you said, it then creates another one, and that's the issue of not being able to see the characters all at the same time. And for me, that's probably the greatest thing that detracts from my enjoyment and appreciation of this piece. Is not It's like this is about the Fellowship, yet I can't see them all at once unless I walk around or put this on a turntable and spin it around. It's like I've tried. There are a couple of angles when you can see almost all of them, but not quite. And so yeah. Um, and I'll be honest, I don't like the fact that Gollum's there. I would have left him out entirely because to me this is a piece about the Fellowship. He's not a member. He doesn't belong. He's a bad guy. I get it. We know he's been following them for for days in there, and it's kind of like he's a bonus kind of thrown in. But uh, like if I do get this, I hope he's removable because I'm not sure whether I would include him there. I don't think it really adds much. Uh, so, but yeah, and then just to kind of touch on what you said about, well, they had a scene in the movie with stairs. Why wouldn't they use that? I think what they must have realized probably, and I'm sure they thought about this for a long, long time, because to commit to something like this, you got to be sure you're going to do what you know, bring your vision to life. Is that um, it would have been too much about that scene because you're cornering yourself into then depicting all the characters as they were behaving when they were in that particular scene in the movie. So there's only one interpretation really that people are going to accept when they see a statue like that, which is them either running down the stairs or freaking out in that moment when the stairs break apart or shooting at the goblins that are on the ledge from far away. You're kind of limited, and it becomes an action piece, and action pieces in the past have been problematic for some. Uh, and it wouldn't have told the little individual stories that we have here. This was more of a moment that, because we don't see it in the movie, they had more of the artistic freedom to just kind of um, freeze a moment for each one of these characters in their own way, rather than chaining them to that one action scene when they're all expected to be doing what we did see them do in the movie. So
Right.
um, I think in the end, they probably made the best decision that they could have. I just wish, for me, the only detractor here is just not being able to see them all in one glance. So sorry, that went on a little long, but those are my thoughts.
No,
That's
no,
fair.
it's great. Yeah, it's great. I mean, I'd agree with a lot of that. I mean, like when they first were teasing this, I definitely was picturing them just blowing up that original small scale version. It's just kind of like, but like as you were saying, like, well, then that thing's going to be 4 or 5 feet long. It's going to be pretty hard to put that anywhere. So
Mhm.
yeah, I do have to applaud them. Like I probably wouldn't have thought of doing like a spiral staircase like this, and so it's definitely a creative way to kind of have a small footprint, but at the same time get all these characters, choose really iconic little moments and stories for each of them, and so yeah, and hopefully people will grow who are maybe still skeptical. Hopefully, it'll grow on them as they get more time to look at it. It's definitely a cool way to see these 9 characters that we've grown to love and who we kind of all understand at this point pretty well.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, it's pretty neat. It would be cool to I guess, see them maybe do a more film accurate version, like a smaller scale in the future. Again, like to reapproach it. But yeah, in terms of 6 scale, like this is a pretty cool way to do this project. I think they really pulled off something special.
Oh, hey, I didn't see you there. Just reading a new book, Bloodlines, by my co-host, Raphael Canoa. It's coming out this December by Crystal Lake Publishing. So when the time comes, check it out. It's pretty good.
Okay, quick question. LEDs or no LEDs? I know some when
Ooh.
we saw the silhouette of it kind of, I think some thought Gandalf's staff might be illuminated and Aragorn's torch would be illuminated.
Mhm.
Should they have put LEDs in this, or I my two thoughts with that are it works without it. Like it's just fine without LEDs. I don't um I still get the torch effect from Aragorn's torch. They did a nice enough job just painting that, it feels well done, like it's done well enough. And the other aspect of it is if you're putting this on a turntable and you have a plug-in, well, you can't really turn it, especially if it's not a matted like your cord's just going to wrap up and then a really expensive statue is going to topple over because, and
I
so
never thought about that.
I can see that being a big issue, and maybe the main reason why they didn't do LEDs. But so, I'm happy with no LEDs in this.
Yeah, I will say like one of the things. I mean, again, I love this piece, and so I don't want to make it seem like don't like it. But the torch was, I think, Boromir and the torch were the two. I think two things that stuck out to me. Like the torch in these pictures looks great, but I think maybe with the lighting and the convention kind of illuminating everything, um, to me, it wasn't as convincing as it is in these pictures. But
Okay.
again, but maybe if it's displayed in someone's house where they don't have giant floodlights overhead, it's like maybe natural shadows in a home and room wherever you're displaying this will help sell the effect because they have done like a really nice subtle glow paint, like this orange paint on the rock there.
Mhm.
But the just when everything's blown out in full light, the torch to me wasn't as convincing again as it is in these pictures here. But again, small criticism. I would take that over the cord, uh, making the
Yeah,
statue a victim. Yeah,
yeah. So, composition art-wise, out of 10, what would you guys give this? Let's start with Daniel, and then we'll work our way up to Valkrist.
I would give it like a 7 or 8 probably, just because I do think it is a. They had to answer to the problem of size, and I think they've done that in about as good a way as you could possibly do.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, so I'd give it a 7 or 8. I think I would only dock it just because, like you're saying, everybody has in their head the perfect fellowship piece. And as even as unrealistic as that probably is in many of our minds. So I think I'd give it maybe a 7 or 8, just in the sense that, they've done about as good of a job as you possibly could at this scale.
That's fair.
Next.
Yep, you're next.
Uh, yeah, sorry, I didn't comment on the LEDs, but just to quickly go back to that. Honestly, I could take them or leave them. I think they enhance a couple of the statues they've done, or actually mainly just in no, the Sauron had some, so it wasn't just environments. But on the other hand, it's like most people say, like you turn them on once for the novelty, and then it usually just stays off. So I feel like this one's probably like you want to show this off so much if people come over that I could see this one getting turned on more often than anything else. But
Right.
yeah, it would just really be in the two spots. And for the added cost that would bring to what's already going to be an expensive statue, and then yeah, having to work out the logistics of a cord, or like, do you have to have a battery pack that just sits there like a lump and rotates along with the statue? Uh,
Hmm.
I think in the end they probably made the right decision to just exclude that. So I don't think it really needs it, to be honest. In terms of a score, yeah, I gotta go with Daniel there. Maybe go between the 7 and the 8 and give it like a 7.5. Because it's tough because yeah, they really did the only thing that they could. I mean, other than having to get a statue with a smaller footprint and this kind of height, and being able to like show them all, the only other option would have been some kind of weird platform system where they're all just there facing, and that wouldn't make any sense. That would be so. Yeah, I mean, I think they did the best that they could. There's always going to be a little compromise here and there, um,
Hmm.
but yeah. So I'd give it 7.5.
Right on.
Nice.
I think for myself, I do think I would have maybe preferred a movie scene, and I understand that we've discussed quite thoroughly um the why they probably went with this. You know, I think I give it. I was thinking an 8. Just because I think it's just very creative. like, and it works, and like you can still tell it's from Moria without, you know, I would have done the staircase and the right angle on it and and worked that in somehow, but they've managed, that tells you instantly, oh, this is Moria. But they've managed to do this in such a way that it's still Moria, and while creating something from nothing really. So I think I would give the artistic composite of it an 8. It tells a story, and that's its job, right? To show off the fellowship and kind of in a in an instant try and tell the story of the fellowship's journey. So I think, yeah, an 8. So overall, what score would you give this? We've talked about the details, we've talked about poses, we've talked about kind of the composition and layout of the statue. Um, and then, is it the ultimate Lord of the Rings collectible? Some have claimed that this is the ultimate collectible, that this is the Lord of the Rings collectible. If you're going to only own one collectible, that it should be this. That's, in my mind, that's what the ultimate Lord of the Rings collectible means. And that's a pretty bold and grand statement,
Mhm.
because there's a lot of good collectibles out there. I think of like the life-size Sauron bust, that life-size Balrog head. I think of like a 24 karat version of the One Ring, like there's some there's some dang good collectibles out there. So is this what I'm getting ahead of myself? Well, first let's give this a, out of 10 overall, and then just as simple as it the ultimate Lord of the Rings collectible. Overall, I think I would give this a solid 9 out of 10. I think, um, other than Boromir, which maybe because I don't plan on buying this, maybe in the distant future, um, he doesn't bug me as much,
Mm.
you know, and perhaps if he wasn't helping Sam, if he was just hunched down, I think it would bug me a lot more. But because he's in the act of helping Sam up, he doesn't bug me as much.
Right.
To be honest, the Gimli pose I think is equally for me. Um, I think I give this a solid 9 out of 10. I think the details are fantastic. The likenesses, the fact that looks, the Aragorn looks like Vigo in this, I think is just that's that's praise enough because he's been tricky. And
Yeah.
so, um, yeah, 9 out of 10 for me. Val, what do you think? What's your
I kind of average out my three scores and give it an 8.5. And it basically did taking a point off for, again, not being able to see the Fellowship all in one go. Just look at it and see all nine characters there.
right?
Um, would be 1 point off. And then the other half point, I would split that, you know, between, yeah, Boromir, the pose, Gimli, and then just having Gollum there. So half a point for all three of those things is pretty generous, but they're there nevertheless. They bug me a little. And so that's enough for me to take it out.
Right. That's
Okay.
Yeah,
fair.
yeah, yeah. I'd probably get 8.5. And I think there is a statement you could make that like if you are going to only have one piece, this does represent the series pretty well, and especially that first film. Um, yeah. So I think if someone was, I'm not, there's not anyone here that's only going to have one piece, but like if someone were to only have one, I think this would be one heck of a showroom piece.
Right. So is it the ultimate Lord of the Rings collectible?
Yeah. That's a pretty lofty title to give
It's a
to,
very lofty title.
and I mean, I know this is a Weta statue, but there are a lot of other companies putting a lot of other pretty neat stuff out there. We're not really focusing on that, but if we were to say just like within Weta, I know you mentioned like life-size busts again; those aren't from Weta. And kind of getting. Are you talking about like the ultimate collectible in terms of just statues, or like across the entire
Okay,
gamut of?
let's narrow it down to that. Is it the ultimate Weta collectible? Is it the ultimate Lord of the Rings Weta collectible?
I'd say that as of this moment, and like who knows where what the future holds, and like we could make that claim now, and then 5 years down the road they come up with something else that's like, oh no, that's the ultimate collectible. Like I think up until this moment for me, Treebeard held the crown.
Hmm.
Like it's just so quintessentially Tolkien
Hmm.
when you look at it. It just there's no way you don't look at that and it doesn't evoke the imagery, not just from the movies, but like if you've read the books. I don't know. It's just something about it that just it's been the crown jewel of my collection for years, and I mean it's the only master's collection piece that I own to date because I've not felt that same feeling again in all the other ones that they've put out. Actually, Salvation of Mount Doom came close, but it was just such an unwieldy design and space wise and size and cost at the time that I just uh, couldn't see any way to fit that into my collection that I kind of immediately just put it in one corner of my mind and I haven't really much thought about it. I would say that would come close. Like if I were to let's say cheat here a bit and do like the Olympic podium and there's like gold, silver, and bronze. I I'd say probably like this because I've always wanted the fellowship from day one. Yeah, I would say this would take the crown and go to the top spot with
Hmm.
Treebeard standing in the silver position with a very annoyed look on his face because he's been there at the top for years for me. And
Right.
then a third would be Salvation of Mount Doom. Even though I don't own it, I think that's a pretty amazing piece, and it really speaks to the spirit of the books and captures the essence of the movies really well too. So, uh, but yeah, I'm not sure if it'll stay that way forever, but I think as of this moment, this is the the ultimate piece in terms of statues for sure.
Yeah, I bet Weta's counted on it not forever being the ultimate. I imagine they want to keep us hungry for more.
Yeah.
But yeah, yeah, I would say it probably is. Like personally, I have my own grails and what I'm chasing after in terms of what I would like to see what I do. But I think just objectively speaking, this statue represents, I think, what most collectors or what people expect from Weta. Like this is like probably near the top of the mountain of what they're capable of doing. Like there's just so many little stories in there, and but it still has a very um, cohesive piece that like kind of I don't know, and it just represents it just design wise, constructually, it's just really impressive.
Oh, nice. Um, I think I would agree that this is the ultimate Weta Lord of the Rings collectible. I think for me, the jury is out on whether it's the ultimate Lord of the Rings collectible of all time. Out of
Mhm.
everything that's ever been made in 25 years or more. You know, but in terms of Weta statues, I think this will go down as the one of the best ever created. I think it will become as sought after, if not more than Treebeard, because it just, if you're a collector who's waited 25 years for a whole fellowship, this is it. You might have to wait
Yeah.
another 25 years to see its like again, you know. And so, yeah, in terms of Weta stuff, I think it is the best Lord of the Rings collectible you can get. That shows, like the movie, a snapshot, that really just, like, if you look at it, Lord of the Rings, right? So we've talked about the Master Collection for quite a while, and there were two other little reveals at San Diego Comic-Con for us plebs. And one of them I'm actually very excited about, and that was Mini Aragorn. I think this thing looks freaking fantastic. Like the details on this being a mini, like look at his face. Like we talked about the Master Collection, Vigo having, or Aragorn having fantastic likeness to Vigo. Well, Brigitte, she gone and she's done this in the mini line. It's insane. And I don't even know if Brigitte digitally sculpts. She might she might be one of the few that still does it the traditional way. And so for her to do what she's done here, just that likeness right there. I mean, I know because it's a smaller scale, the hair is a bit clunkier than maybe on a 1/6 statue, but the likeness on that's right up there with a Monahan Aragorn, right? Like, am
Yeah,
I
they
crazy
really
for saying that?
no, they nailed it, and seeing
No,
it
it
in
looks great.
person, yeah, it's
Mm.
incredible. Yeah.
Like, this might be the best mini what has ever made. I wish this was the classic series Aragorn. That's everything I'd want in a classic series Aragorn. The pose is perfect. The likeness is great. I wish this was 1/6 scale. That's how good it is. Like this, I think if you're an Aragorn fan, a Gondor fan, this is a must-have, you know.
Yeah, it's
But
incredible.
let me
Sounds
hear
like
your
you're
guys'
getting
thoughts on it. Oh, I'll get it for sure.
it.
In case there was any doubt.
Yeah, if you guys were wondering,
Yeah, this mini line, man, I don't know, it gets more and more impressive each year.
it sure
Um,
does.
like I try to only get like 1/6 scale bad guys and environments and stuff, but this mini line, I might start going all in on it because it's at the Comic-Con they had a bunch of them side by side, and gee, yeah, the detail they pack in there is just, especially on this new one, it's just great. And the Legolas that they revealed recently was great. But yeah,
Yeah.
just like looking at this, it's just yeah, it's hard to complain. It's really a really wonderful little piece they've got out.
So, Val, I know you're a stickler for accuracy. There's one thing I noticed on this that isn't accurate. Did you notice it as well?
To be honest, I haven't looked at it in that much detail because I've pretty much decided that I'm not purchasing the characters in the 110 scale anymore because it was just starting to feel redundant in a sense because they have gone up a little bit in price, and I mean it shows in the quality though. They're definitely worth the money, but I mean it's funny because they're now at the price that the 1/6 scale pieces used to be back in the sideshow
Oh yeah.
days. That's funny how it just that's gone the way it has, but um for me, the 110 line is, I think I'm going to stick to just getting like the bad guys because, like, it's great that they've done stuff lately, like the Troll, the Fell Beast, the Shelob, the Kraken, uh,
Hmm.
or sorry, Kraken,
Oh,
the
yeah.
Watcher in the water.
Yeah.
But yeah, because it's a way to get like to do those pieces in a different scale. I mean, you could go with something weird like Smog, which is I think what did they say that was 170 or 1/100th or something like that, or the Balrog. But anyways, I think the mini line is a great opportunity for them to give us some of those bigger pieces, like the Mumak,
Yeah.
for example, that just wouldn't be feasible in a bigger scale or affordable, or that people would have space. So in that line of thought, it's like when if you're someone like me that likes to collect the heroes and the main characters, and then with there being like multiple versions of them already in 1/6, and then to start collecting them in 1/10, it becomes too much. It's like how many Aragorns and Gandalfs and Legolases and whatnot do I need? So,
All of them,
um,
Val.
oh yeah, so, uh,
Give me
it
all
looks
the
amazing.
Aragorns. Yeah, it
I
does.
mean, at a different point in time, like I would be collecting these like crazy. I mean, you could definitely probably get a whole fellowship put together a lot faster in this line than you will in 1/6 or classic series or whatever. But
Mhm.
um, so not for me. But is it ever a home? As far as your original question, like I said, I haven't looked at it in enough time and care and detail to pick out if there's something.
Well, we've been looking at it for about 5 minutes now.
So it's there in this image.
It's right there.
Uh, it's not the sword.
It is
He's
the
got
sword.
Boromir's.
It is
It
the
is the
sword.
sword.
Yeah, so
Okay, hang on.
the audience wants to know, Val. They're like, what is
Well,
it?
there's way.
Yeah,
It looks like
come on.
from
I think I
owning
might
that
see it.
blade, it looks like there's way too many runes on it. Like they go all the way down to the sun
Well,
coming
that's
off the hill.
you. So you're dang close, but it's in the sword. They're engraved, right? These are um, I guess what this term is embossed, or they are coming out. Like they're not engraved. They're the opposite. Um, the words escaping
Okay, yeah, I
me
see what you're saying.
right
Yeah.
now. Um, that's the only thing, and it's like somebody, don't roll your eyes
That's
at
a
me because
serious nitpick, and at this scale, I
that
mean,
I
yeah,
know, right? Like I don't care. Like please don't think like I'm knocking this at all because oh, the runes aren't engraved. They're they're popping out. They're standing out instead of being engraved. No, I don't care. I think it looks fantastic. Um, I'm just thrilled they even got runes on the sword, you know. So that is to me this is a 10 out of 10. I think it's a fantastic mini, fantastic pose. Everything I'd want in an Aragorn pose. If Weta ever does Aragorn at Two Towers, I hope it's a similar pose from Helm's Deep if they do that in the 1/6 scale.
you
Um,
know,
but yeah, I wish this was 1/6 because I love it that much. So the last little bit that oh no, I didn't even prep it. It was the Mumakil skull. I've kind of made my thoughts known on the
Yeah,
skull line. I just think it's just such an odd line. It's just not for me. Like it looked neat, but the Mummic skull
yeah,
looked neat.
I
But that's just
guess.
because I think elephant skulls in general just look bizarre. Like
uh,
there's an interesting theory that elephant skulls are what started the the legend of Greek mythology of Cyclopses because the big center hole. Um,
yeah,
that was about it. For me, I thought, oh, cool skull. Okay, is there anything else? That's not to knock on the quality of it or the details of it or anything. It's just not for me. I'm just not interested.
yeah. Like, I mean, I'm sure they put in as much care and work and artistry and everything into that as they put into everything else. But to me, it strikes me as a very odd choice and decision of line for them to come out with. I think it's extremely niche. Like if you're like into what is it, paleontology,
Right.
and you like the skulls of animals and like Neanderthals and things like that. otherwise, it's really not my thing. I appreciate the fact that it exists and there's someone out there that I'm sure loves it, but it
Mhm.
does nothing for me. So uh, great, I guess.
Yeah, I won't repeat it. You guys are covering my feelings as well. But I'm loving these pictures you're showing right now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so a couple, what was it, a month maybe ago? I'm not sure. The time has just been flying lately. Weta came out with Cirith Ungol, and it was there like the paint master, I'm assuming, was there at the convention, Daniel. And you got to have a pretty good look at it, I'm assuming.
Oh yeah.
And
Oh yeah.
you love the bad guys, so this is right up your alley. So what did you think of what are you thinking of Cirith Ungol? And we could have done I think a whole episode just on Cirith Ungol, like we did with Edoras. So we'll try and keep it brief here. But what were your
Yeah.
thoughts seeing it in person there and
Yeah.
what'd you like about it?
I mean, dog. Yeah, no, it's incredible. Like just the detail that they managed to pack in there is just insane. Um, like just because yeah, I got all most of the environments and just it just feels like each new release just has more and more detail packed into it. And this one, all the orc environments have a little extra because there's always like weird, you know, damage or scaffolding or weird little tents and things that they added to these environments. And with this one in particular, there's like little rust stains. And yeah, I spent quite a good time, a good while just staring into the little corners of this place. They really went all out on it. And it's a good size. Like I don't feel like any spot of it is shortchanged in terms of detail. Like I was kind of blown away. Like if you look at that tower when people get it in hand, it's just yeah, it's just incredible. Like how it's like just like microscopic detail. It's really something else to see in person. And yeah, I think anyone who's been waiting for this will be very pleased. And I think just in general, if people, environment collectors, like this is just like a good sign of that things are only getting more and more impressive with what they're able to accomplish with the digital sculpting tools and the 3D printing and everything.
Hmm.
Even the the sculptures there, the watchers or whatever, like that's super impressive. Given like these things are less than a centimeter tall.
Yeah, like it's a grain of rice. Like they've carved
Yeah.
that's essentially someone carving a grain of rice. I think it's fantastic. And then like the grading above it, like the fact that that's actually there, you know,
Oh yeah. Yeah.
10
There's
years
tons of
ago, I don't
little
think that
things.
would have
Yeah.
happened. The
Yeah.
I agree. I think once again, the rock on it looks fantastic. Um, it would have been very easy, I think, for this piece to just look like a big slab of rock, right? But the tower definitely pops, I think, on it, and you can tell it's there. Um, do you guys think they went a bit too heavy with the rust effects? I know some people maybe kind of thought that.
Not me personally, and I think like again, seeing it in person, like it kind of to me it all comes together quite nicely. I don't know if maybe just the lighting that they use in these professional pictures might accentuate certain things in a way that
Mm.
catch people's eyes the wrong way. Um, but yeah, just in terms of seeing it in hand, like I didn't kind of stand out to me at all in a negative way.
Right.
Yeah. I think it looks fine, to be honest. It kind of breaks up a bit of the just sort of the
Agree.
monotony of the overall gray stone upon gray stone kind of thing. So, um, yeah, it's really subjective on whether you think it's a little too heavy-handed, but uh, anyone that knows metal and iron that rusts over the years, I mean, that's basically what you get. Just a big orangey
Right.
stain on
Hmm.
everything. So yeah, I could see it being like that. Um, maybe a bit of an odd remark, but any of you that play the Shadow of Mordor games, like this is for some reason it really. because there's like a lot of orc fortresses and castles and things that you go into in that game, and this really evocative of obviously when the movies were first, so when they made those games, they took a lot of visual references to create the assets for the game, but like you could see where they got that inspiration, and it just looks orcish or something that was once Gondorian and it's been corrupted.
Mhm.
Kind of interesting that I don't think there's one single frame in the movie where you see the fortress as a whole. There's maybe different. You could take a series of shots and put them together and maybe recreate it somewhat, but um, so I always had that sense that like, yeah, that's one location in the film that I don't really actually know 100% how it looks like,
Right.
because you don't get to see it all in one. So unless there are like production photos of the bigature or something like that, and this is the other than that one fan made version that's already out there, this was really the first look at the entire thing. So that's pretty neat. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I think it looks fantastic.
Yeah, I think that's like one of the great joys of the environment line is you're getting to really see from different angles these environments that are obviously, with filmmaking, it's like shot from, very strange or like specific angles. Like it's nice to see an environment like this in its
Mhm.
entirety, be able to kind of enjoy the full aesthetics of it.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's just a real treat.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's definitely moments in the film where you're like, oh, I wish we could have seen more of that. That looked really cool. And you just know some guy at Weta just slaved away building a model or building a prop or something. We're talking like weeks and weeks, and then it gets like a second or 2 seconds of screen time, you know. Um, I agree with I think most of you guys said. I don't think the rust is too heavy, you know. Especially at this scale, I don't think it's really gonna like when in this picture, it doesn't stand out really at all. Um, I
Yeah.
really like how you kind of get the sense of it's hanging off the cliff, like the base. The rock is hanging off the base, and I think that's pretty cool. They could have taken the safe route and kind of had the base under that more, but a bit of the environment is hanging off, and I like how they did the bridge here. They didn't need to elevate that the way they did. They could have had it just sitting lower. So I like how they did that. My only wish is I do actually wish this had an LED. I think, in the book, especially the book, the defining feature of Cirith Ungol is the red light in the top of the top, of the tower. And when you see Frodo kind of wandering along those paths after Shelob's lair, you can see just the top of the tower with the red light up in that room, and this feels like would it have been that hard to put a single LED bulb up there? You know, um, I don't think it would have been that hard. Like seeing what they've put LEDs in, the work that went into Helm's Deep and Minas Morgul and Bag End, they could have done it, and I wish they would have. It is what is the price on this? 600. So, perhaps that's why they were already right at their ceiling and so something had to get cut and that was it. But
Mhm.
it'd be interesting to know if an LED was on the table at first and then they cut it or so.
Yeah, very possible.
Yeah, it definitely would have been neat. I mean, because yeah, I love the green light in Minas Morgul is such a cool. I'll
Oh
turn that one
yeah.
on occasionally. Yeah, it's sick. So, I mean, I think the only other comment I would say, again, I probably would have leaned LED, but the only other thing I would say that maybe they didn't decide to do is because it's still a big piece, but because it is, you know, the tower is quite small, maybe it just isn't going to make enough of an impression to make it worth that extra 50 or $100 they'd have to charge for it. Like,
Right.
Like yeah, but yeah, I definitely lean towards like I think it would have been real sick to see to turn that on. Yeah, but oh well. I mean, I'm just glad that they did this environment.
Yeah,
It's
right.
really
Like
Mhm.
if the choice was, oh, you can't Cirith Ungol with an LED or no Cirith Ungol, well,
yeah,
it's an easy choice.
yeah, very easy.
You know, I have the custom one. Maybe I will do some surgery and add an LED to that if I really feel the need to. Um,
Yeah.
you know, whether I'll order this one, I'm not sure yet. So if you guys have any final thoughts, now would be the time. Otherwise, I think it's time to say goodbye and good night.
With all, yeah. Appreciate you guys having me on, and yeah, excited to, I guess, see more pictures uploaded to the website for the Masters collection.
Yeah, that should be coming on pre-order here pretty soon here. So,
Yeah, pleasure to have you and meet you and have you share your thoughts about actually being there in person because that's something many of us get to do. So thanks for
Yeah,
being here.
yeah. If you guys are ever in a future one, let me know. So I'd love to run into you if I don't recognize you. If I don't see you lurking and stalking the Weta booth like me.
all right, for
Right on.
sure. All right, well, thank you for tuning in and good night.